What's up, and welcome back to G2KAPA, the show that stands for something, but today it's Get to Know a Promo Artist. We are here with one of my very good friends, and actually the reason that I got into the promo artistry business, I guess you want to say. This is Smithception. Smith, welcome to the show. I know you've been wanting to be on for a while.
I sure have. I'd say thanks for having me, but I feel like the more appropriate thing to say would be thanks for putting me in the poll so that people could vote me in.
Hey, and you won pretty handsomely, too. Like, it wasn't like you just slid by. You got a pretty good lead.
Yeah, sure did.
It's because you're so popular. So obviously, Smith is in your name. That's normally my question is how you got your name. That's kind of a common thing. Is there any kind of story other than it just is part of your name?
So around freshman year of high school, I did not have any social media. I did not have any kind of inkling of any cool social media name to use. So when I first made my Instagram and Twitter account when I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old, instead of just going for the basic thing that everybody else was doing, which was just take your last name or your, you know, school nickname and adding like four numbers at the end of it, I was like, I want to be different. And then I
Mm-hmm.
saw what guys on YouTube like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye were doing, taking either their name or their last name or something cool and like kind of making it a play on that word or adding something that just kind of naturally fits. And yes, I did just see the movie Inception when I was making it. So I thought if I put my last name with Ception and, the whole thing inside a thing, Ception meme was also a thing at that time.
That
So
works.
I thought Smithception would catch on. And what do you know? It did.
Hey, I mean, it went over pretty good. Other than everyone wanting you to change your name to Smithcepticon.
That's an inside joke. Well, it started out as a joke between me and a friend of mine from TikTok who's not in the community, but
I noticed that was something that was push, or you were discussing it being pushed on your TikTok when I came in. What got you on TikTok?
basically the same story that everybody else had. I saw that it could be more than just lip syncing and dancing, and also a combination of that and me just really missing Vine and seeing TikTok as like an opportunity for people to be way more creative with more creative control over what they do and more time to do it. I thought, I'm sure there's going to be something on here that I enjoy. And then I was like, I could probably do what I see people doing. I got things that I feel like saying, so I just started doing that, and 20,000 followers later, here I am.
I get that. So now you say 20,000 followers later. Your main group of followers, like your initial followers you got, weren't actually in the wrestling community, right? You were doing like music. It was like a Spotify playlist thing. What was that all
Yeah,
about?
yeah. So I started with a series of videos called What Your Most Listened to Spotify Artist Says About You,
Okay.
specifically rock and metal edition, because those are the genres I feel like I'm most comfortable talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't originally my idea. I got to give the credit to a dude named Chamber Pop, even though he probably has no idea who I am, because I saw him do What Your Spotify Wrapped Says About You,
Okay.
which was just him, same style that I do, just quick one sentence, artist in the background. And I thought if I can take that but put my own jokes to it, maybe some people will like it. And it turns out a lot of people liked it because it's my most successful video, and I think also views wise, I ever made.
I mean, it definitely blew up because I remember seeing a lot of it after what initially got me looking at your account. But there's one other thing I want to get into before that because that's going to get into the whole promo artist thing. When did you start doing the roast of the wrestlers, like the top wrestlers? Because that was kind of your wrestling version of what your Spotify playlist says about you.
Yeah, it was. I wanted to strive away from that series. So, because I just feel like if this goes on too long, nobody's gonna like it. So I ended it after like 13 parts, and I was even hesitant on doing the 13th part. So I thought, well, I'm making primarily wrestling content now.
Mm-hmm.
What if I just take a formula that already worked for me and work that into my new wrestling fan base? So I did What Your Favorite Pro Wrestler Says About You. It was like primarily WWE and AEW people, and then I quickly ended that series because then I got people specifically requesting for me to roast them personally based on their favorite wrestlers. And like enough people were asking for it that I had to actually make a video with a set of rules saying if you want me to do it, you gotta make your video by this time and you have to have like a reason as to why I should do it as opposed to other people.
Just
And then
roasting
I
random people, yeah.
yeah, and then I actually ended up getting enough submissions that I just kind of kept going until I felt like stopping, which seems to be how I tend to make content.
Fair enough. What do you have any one or two maybe that stick out specifically of like favorite things you said about a specific wrestler and what that means for your personality?
Um It's funny you should mention that because I think to this day one of the ones I had the most fun making was the one I made on you.
Oh, hey, that's awesome.
Because it became a running joke that for the longest time you were not telling anybody who your favorite wrestler was. So then when you finally told me, I was like, oh my god, this is a golden opportunity to get the insider knowledge on HeelHugz' favorite wrestlers, and I get to roast them? Say less.
That was awesome. Hey, that's where I revealed it, man. That was the world premiere of anyone who hadn't already known from the many videos I made forever ago about it. But
And anybody who saw those videos would probably say it was quite the shocking premiere.
yeah. All right. So anyway, speaking of, this is actually an excellent segue. Chris Benoit. This is the reason that I became a fan of yours was your promo. So there was this guy on TikTok named Lou Nonsense. If you're in the promo scene at all, you absolutely know who Lou is. And he had started this thing where he was the TikTok world champion and he had done a promo battle. This was sometime of April last year. Now, my first promo, I guess, in that I saw was yours, in which you use a Chris Benoit line. And that is why I absolutely loved it. I thought it was the most savage thing I'd seen. I was like, oh, I want to do these. This was so cool. Can you tell me about one, like what made you want to cut that promo and like what made you want to get in the promo scene?
Well, I had already seen some people like already cutting promos. I think it was mainly like Heel Kevin and Skylar Morris, along with some others, but primarily them is the ones that kept like showing up on my FYP because I ended up on wrestling promo TikTok for a little while
Mm-hmm.
before even, cutting my own. And then I was already following guys like Lou and guys like Ryan just because of a shared interest in wrestling. And then when I saw that Lou was doing that thing, I was like, I could probably do this. So I just threw together something as best as I could and with as many like jabs as I could because I feel like that's the best direction for a character to go if I were to have one. So I did that and it ended up being Lou's fifth favorite.
Which I personally believe to this day that you should have won that promo battle. I guess it wasn't really a tournament; it was just a promo battle in general. But also, so you came in. I saw you roast Lou, but you roasted another guy. You mentioned him as Ryan. People in the promo community know him either as the Macho Fan Sandy Ravage or now just the Macho Fan. My best friend, the guy who co-owns our current promo battle league. But to come from that last April, where you came in fifth in that inaugural promo battle, to now Lou is the world champion of the NGTTWF, our promo league, and you are the number one contender in like 3 short weeks. You are going to be facing him for the world title of the league. How does that feel to go from that first battle to now there's this league of hundreds of people and you are at the top going for the world title?
Well, I would say that it feels too good to be true, but it is in fact true. So I guess in a way it just feels poetic because it almost feels like the story just kind of fell into our lap. Like we essentially were the ones that ended up putting this together, even if I personally wasn't the one there being the most active in it. But since I was able to influence people in a way that I wasn't even aware of, it almost feels like the perfect combination of things to happen to tell what could potentially be one of the best stories we've ever done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of the guys that have been doing this for a really long time, this is a dream match. For a lot of the people that are just getting into the league, they see this as like a battle of two people that essentially were the firsts of the community, but I don't know that they necessarily understand the story behind it. But no matter what, it is going to be a huge match. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait for you to win. And those watching may not know, I am actually Smith's manager when it comes to the promo league, which is pretty cool for me as well, being that you were one of the people that got me into the promo scene. And now I get to manage you and hopefully help you get that world title. But what influence you in wrestling? Like, who are your favorite promo guys? I know you love MJF. You are the MJF of TikTok. But like, what are some of the things you love about wrestling? What got you into wrestling?
I got into wrestling in like 2009, I want to say it was. I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I was playing SmackDown versus Raw 2009 with my cousin. Like, I didn't know anything about wrestling. I just, like, kind of found out who John Cena was, even though never actually seeing him, because even if you don't know anything about wrestling, you know who John Cena is, especially at this point.
Yeah.
So then I ended up, like, later that year actually watching wrestling on TV for the first time. And the other person I didn't know about was The Undertaker, because that was my mom's favorite back when she used to keep up with wrestling. So that kind of indoctrinated me into being a Taker fan at a young age, even though I don't regret it, because now Undertaker is my favorite of all time. As a matter of fact, the first thing I ever saw on a wrestling show was an episode of SmackDown in December of '09, where Taker is grabbing Jericho, like looking like he's gonna chokeslam him, just like throws him out of the ring. And I was like, ooh, like little 10-year-old me just like couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. Undertaker is one of those like universally like loved characters, and I think brings a lot of people together because that's like no, it feels like no matter what generation from like the early '90s to today, everybody has some Undertaker story that has influenced them as a wrestling fan. Okay. So we're gonna get into something a little bit different because we're about 12 minutes in. Normally we keep these podcasts a little short. This is what we like to call the lightning round. So
Lightning round.
this is
I've seen all
where
4 episodes of this. I kind of know what's coming, but I'm still
all right.
intrigued.
I was like, so we're gonna throw some random questions out there, maybe not so random. And
Okay.
one of the first ones I want to ask you, this is a little bit longer form, but other than Lou Nonsense, can you name me two promo artists, maybe one that's better known, maybe one that's not as known, if you even have an answer to this, that you would see as opponents you would want to face in the next year?
As opponents in the next year, see, that's tough because a lot of people that I enjoy facing or would like to enjoy facing, I have. I feel like from a storyline point of view, um, maybe Ty Stone, or
Okay.
not, yeah, Ty Stone or Unknown Kingdom as he's known on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, just because he was the one that gave me that loss in the first round of the U.S. tournament. So I feel like if you wanted to build a story around that, that would be cool to do. And also, like, I do respect him as a promo artist.
He's very good.
Yeah, he is very good. Like I take no shame in that. And off the top of my head, I really can't think of anybody specifically just because of the depth of talent. I don't care if it sounds cliche, it's true.
Yeah, yeah,
The
for
depth
sure.
of talent on that roster in the combined NGTTWF roster is insane. I can't narrow it down to two people.
I do feel like you versus Ty Stone would be a very interesting match. Now, here's one that may be a little more telling. If you could name two of your favorite rock and metal artists that tell me something about your personality, what would they be, and what would it tell me about your personality?
Oh, for me specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Metallica is my favorite band of all time, which means that I guess for people who like Metallica, it means your taste in metal is probably at least a little bit generic, which at least for like the early point in my metal career was probably true because I didn't delve into like the realm of metal bands as much. And then I guess another band I've listened to a lot, is Ice Nine Kills. They were like my number one artist of the year. So I believe in my video when I mentioned Ice Nine Kills, I said you want to murder all Christians, which is not true
Damn.
about me. Yes, I know that sounds harsh. I know
Mm,
that sounds harsh, but those videos were purely for shock value. I'd say being an Ice Nine Kills fan just means I recognize the general direction of what people consider to be good taste, and that's what I tend to gravitate towards.
okay. What is your favorite candy?
Kit Kats,
Favorite fast food?
Chick Fil A,
What color socks are you wearing?
black and gray.
What is your favorite game, and then an unpopular opinion about that game or series?
My favorite game of all time is Bloodborne, which was made by the same people that made the Dark Souls series.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as an unpopular opinion, I would say that my personal ranking of like the Soulsborne series from like the best game to the worst game would go Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2. Oh, and Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin would be dead last because that was a fucking nightmare.
Okay, tell me one very popular wrestler that you think is the most overrated wrestler.
A very popular wrestler that I think is very overrated. Off the top of my head, the first name that comes to mind is actually Jeff Hardy.
Oh wow! Now,
Only because of a conversation that I had a little while back with another community member.
I do agree that I think Matt Hardy was the better of the Hardy Boys, but I wouldn't immediately jump and say Jeff Hardy's overrated, but I feel that. What is one wrestler that you think is criminally underrated?
Shelton Benjamin.
Oh, ain't no stopping him now. On that,
Well, apparently there is stopping him. It's the WWE creative.
well, I was gonna say, so on the Shelton Benjamin thing, what did you feel about him joining Hurt Business?
Um, my initial reaction was, "Oh, cool, he's finally doing something," but at the same time, it's not something that I feel like is a good direction for him to go in, just because I can see his potential, despite his age, is still one of the best workers that that company can have. He's a good hand. He allegedly beat Brock Lesnar in a like real wrestling match, so I really don't think there's any reason for him not to potentially be a top guy in that company, or at least somebody that's world championship material.
Okay, Sheets or Wawa?
Sheets.
What do you get? What is your Sheets order? Like when you go to Sheets, what's the go-to?
My Sheets order go to is usually like breakfast sandwiches, like some kind of croissant with like egg and bacon or egg and sausage.
Okay. Do you follow sports at all? I was gonna say, who's your favorite sports team?
I don't watch enough sports to justify having a favorite
Claiming the
team or
teams.
explaining why.
I feel I'm the same way. Normally, I just claim anything Chicago. I mean, I wear a Bears hat and I don't watch football. So,
I mean, I come from a family of like Pittsburgh everything,
mhm.
but like I said, I don't watch enough sports to justify why the Steelers, the Pirates, or the Penguins are like, the absolute best, or why I should believe that they're the absolute best.
Okay, I feel you. Who is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and explain why they're better than Sami Zayn?
um, I feel like there's several contenders for who could be considered the best Intercontinental Champions of all time. You got like guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Owen Hart, Bret Hart, The Miz. At least in like the modern day, for guys you could easily compare Sami Zayn to, The Miz was a great talker, is still a great talker, still a safe worker, somebody who actually feels passionate about making the Intercontinental Championship mean something, which is something that I feel like is lost not just on the IC title, but on a lot of titles in WWE.
I definitely agree with that. I think that Miz is one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of the modern era. Just, I think he's actually a very underrated wrestler when people think of some of the greatest of the last few decades. So I 100% go with that. That's more of just a shout out to our dude Cage. So shout out KG. Um,
Love you,
but
Cage.
otherwise, is there anything else you want to talk about? We're coming up on that 20-minute mark. Is there anything else you want to talk about, whether it be promo battles, wrestling, music, games, why Borderlands 2 is phenomenal? I don't know. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll close it out with something you want to close on.
Borderlands 2 is phenomenal, but the one thing I'm surprised you didn't mention is my reputation of just being like an absolute douchebag because of how I handle people that treat me disrespectfully, whether that be in the comments sections of my videos or the people that stitch or duet my videos. Like that's just something I'm surprised you didn't bring up because my whole MJF of TikTok character is kind of built around that reputation that I ended up building for myself.
See, I don't see any of that as being a douchebag. I see that as being someone who stands up for what they believe in, and that's why I appreciate your content in general.
Yeah.
A lot of other people may feel a different way, but that's why we rep Heel Club and they don't. You know, I understand it. I get it. That's the difference. But
Yeah.
if you are looking for savagery, if you are looking for nothing but 100% straight facts that just don't care about your feelings, you need to go check out Smithception, because he is always laying down facts on any form of entertainment. Anything he's got an opinion on, he's letting you know what it is. So when you check him out, you will know that. Also, if you do want to join us in the promo leagues in the NGTTWF and you somehow stumbled on this and you don't already know who we are, come to our Discord at discord.io/NGTTWF. Smith, thank you so much for being on this episode. I know we're going to have a million other things to talk about. There's going to be many more of these coming up with me and you again, and I can't wait to have you back on. But thank you for being on, man. Hope you had fun.
Absolutely, man. This was fun as hell.
All right. Well, we'll be back with another episode soon. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll have another poll up in the Discord for who's going to be on next. He'll love your life. Later, brother.